You know another thing I like about recurring characters? You can have multiple recurring characters across multiple arcs, and then that leaves the door open for doing a big finale recurring thing, right? Bringing back Hondo and Gregor, Wolf, Ketsu, Callus. I mean, hell, even Melch came back, for God's sakes. And it's just kind of awesome. This episode is kind of in total contrast to the previous one. This is just the big win. This is a fairly typical thing when it comes to most narratives, especially when it's a conflict between one group and another. You give the protagonists a big win before the finale, before things actually conclude. Kind of to uplift spirits and give them hope for the future and help carry them forward into whatever's about to happen. I love how desperately afraid Bryce is here. She's just, oh God, I gotta find something. I gotta find anything. Please, oh God, just keep scanning systems. It's once again a very simplistic thing. In fact, her literal approach is to throw men at it and to threaten her own subordinate with death, assuming he fails her. Ah, you poor pathetic woman. She mentions that they need to take Ezra alive. In fact, that's a recurring thing. At every stage, she insists on that. I wonder what Palpatine actually has in plan for him at this point in time. He is singularly cruel when it comes to dealing with people who have disappointed him. And that's horrible. I don't even know what else to say about that. Of course, he could also just try to turn him or convert him or whatever. But, yeah. The episode also goes way out of its way, for almost half the runtime of the episode, to convince you that Ryder really did betray them. It's funny because I didn't believe it for a millisecond. Ignoring the obvious fact that trusting someone like Price is amazingly stupid, the harsh reality is that this is completely out of line for their overall tactics and their approach in general. They call... This is classic strategy right here. I'm going to quote myself. I know. Never underestimate the power of individuals to hold off an army from a proper fortification. Thrawn understood this. He actually mentions this by word earlier in this show. He says, I'm not going to let them dictate when and where we have engagements. They will fight on my terms, not theirs. But that's exactly what happens here. The rebels effectively call out the Imperial forces to fight on their terms. So even though the Imperial forces are superior, they have better troops, well, they have better numbers, they have better equipment in terms of their vehicles and whatnot, and they got Ruch, so, that's something. But all of that is invalidated by the initial battle, which worms them down. And then they reveal the betrayal, and then they go ahead and have the second battle, and then the third battle, all of which dovetail nicely into each other, until the Imperial forces are completely routed. I mean, duh, right? The only thing I don't like about it is the wolves end up being a little bit too decisive. I would have liked it if the rebels were basically winning, and then the wolves got involved, rather than the rebels had pulled back, and then the wolves got involved. It's just a slight variance that I would have preferred. But I do like how, once again, it is Ezra's empathy with animals and his connection to them that has helped him here. Although it's worth noting that, as he mentioned earlier, they are loyal to Lothal, not to them or the Force or whatever. Thing is, the Empire is pretty anti-Lothal. Like, you saw the devastation, right? And the clouds and the doom. Yeah, no, they're pretty anti-Empire. So this is just kind of a revenge party, basically, at this point. But I love it. Even in my notes here, I mentioned, what do they do when they're outnumbered and outgunned? They think like Thrawn. They use the complex answer. I don't actually have much else to say about this. There were just two little tidbits I wanted to add, because they both amused me tremendously. One is, well, from Hondo, I've only been struck. I have done this many times. I love that little tidbit. And the final thing was the sight of Melch on the turret. That was awesome. That actually made me laugh. Well, time to end the series, guys.